Mr. Edgar here with another review. This one's for the Smith and Wesson 39 pistol that I really love to shoot. I put a lot of rounds through it. This is actually a 39-2. Pistol was originally developed in the early 50s as an American replacement for the military weapons in our Army. This was 9mm Parabellum. It's an actual double action. It was the first American double action semi-automatic pistol. It was looked to be a replacement for the 1911 45. It was not picked up by the Army, but it had been used to some extent by Special Forces and Navy. SEALs carried them for a while. The pistol was manufactured up until I think the 90s, and in various formations. It's changed into the 59s and 5906s. But the general design of it has stayed pretty consistent. It's a good shooter. This particular model, the 39 model, is a single stack. It uses an 8-round magazine. It has a nice thin aspect, and I think if you read my or listened to my other videos, you know that I like single stacks. I find the double stacks to be a little bit too thick for my relatively small hand. Single stacks fit my hand nicely. I find them easier to shoot. Felt recoil on this gun, by the way, is very mild. You know, some of the 9mm seem to have a bit of a crack to them, more so than you would expect just from the general size of the round. But this one is very, very easy to handle. It's got a little weight to it. It's about 26, 27 ounces. That a little bit of extra heft because it is in fact an all metal frame. This is not a plastic gun. None of the Model 39s are plastic frames. So they have that heft to them. Runs a little over 6 inches in length. As you can see, a fairly narrow aspect, nothing unusual, roughly an inch in the width. And with the original wood grips, the grip itself is not terribly narrow. It's not like, say, a Tokarev or something like that. But it is more narrow than most of the double stack pistols that you see today that become very popular. Breakdown's fairly straightforward. First I'll show you that it is in fact empty. Yep. Nothing there. Okay. Nice feel to her though, by the way. Like with many pistols, it's going to push this portion of the slide lock out, and then it just slips right out. Now, like this, you pull it back until they match up to the notch, push the slide lock out, put that aside. Now hold on to that little spring, because that baby is going to tend to fly across the room if you're not careful. You'll see there the spring is. Guide rod is all the way in there. You just lift that out lightly, set that aside. You notice that the guide rod is actually fairly long and actually covers much of the spring. After that, you set the bushing a little to the angle, take it out. This, by the way, comes out this way. It doesn't slide out the front like some of them. You'll notice there's actually a solid piece across the front on the slide. That's pretty much it. There's an interesting thing. If you'll take a look at the structure here, you'll notice that the ejector is actually a spring-loaded mechanism, and when you put the slide back on, you're going to have to push that down. This is actually a trigger release lever, and you have to push that down as well. So you're going to have two levers here, the ejector and the trigger release, that are going to be pushed down when you put it back on. Putting it back together, simply the reverse of that. Make sure you put the bushing on there properly. Put this guy in there. Now she's going to be a little catchy. Put it in. Now here's one of the things that you'll tend to find with this guy. Sometimes get the guide rod has to fit into a spot right in here, which has got a ridge. You'll notice there's actually a ridge there. If you do it the normal way like this, a lot of times this will pop in and hit against the lower part of that ridge. So one of the better ways, one of the more consistent ways of loading I've found is to do it vertically. You come along, get it started vertically, come in there, and then when you release it, it'll tend to go into the right spot. And you'll hear it actually click like that. Once it clicks in there, you're actually ready to go. Pull the hammer back a little bit, get that notch lined up with a hole, put the slide lock back in. Should snap in, snaps in, and you're done. Trigger is extremely smooth. Now I said that this is a double action, single action, right? Single action, really smooth. Double action, not bad. It's actually pretty easy to pull. That single action is sweet on it. This little guy is an accurate gun. As an example, even though I have old eyes and don't have the steadiest of hands, I can do groups like that. That's a 5-round group at 10 yards, and I can do that consistently with this pistol. She's a sweet, sweet pistol. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Smith and Wesson 39, and please watch some of my other stuff. Thank you.